As Patriot militias continue to surge throughout the nation, leftists have begun to panic over their growing influence and presence in our nation's military. In this video, we're going to take a look at the astonishing rise of militia membership among active military personnel. We're going to see how leftist liberals are literally panicked over such a rise. And stick with me to the very end of this video, when we'll discover precisely why Patriot militias are surging among active military and law enforcement officers, and why that surge is just beginning. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Wonderful to be with you as always. I am your daily fake news antidote, as each and every day I provide patriotic analysis to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Before we begin, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's Prepper's Peak new solar water heater. With all of the lockdowns we just witnessed over the last year, this solar water heater can turn out to be our very best friend. Solar water heater is an amazing device. It allows you to heat and boil water outdoors using simply the sunlight. It can heat water in as little as 30 minutes and it'll work anywhere the sun shines. You can use it to boil water, you can use it to cook noodles and rice, sterilize water for drinking, and the best part is that if you click on the link below right now, you're going to get an additional 15% off their already reduced price. So don't wait, it is a limited time offer, so click on that link below before they sell out and get your own Patriot Sun cooker today. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. We have some fascinating articles that have been coming out of late, a number of them by leftists in utter panic, who've just come to realize the astonishing extent to which Patriot militias, or those sympathetic with militias, have made their way into the rank and file of the United States military. Take a look at this headline from the ultra-leftists over at Vice. The U.S. military has a Boogaloo problem. And the byline reads, some of the largest private Facebook groups catering to the Boogaloo movement have scores of members who identify as active duty military. Now, if you're not familiar, the Boogaloo Boys are merely one of now over 500 active Patriot militias in the nation. That number has doubled in just the last 10 years. The Boogaloo Boys, in particular, are one of the growing number of national militia organizations, and leftists are growing increasingly concerned about the fact that very large private Facebook groups that cater to the Boogaloo movement actually have a number of members who are self-identified active duty military personnel. And the members span the array of the branches, including Army, Navy, Air Force, and most especially the Marine Corps, or Corps if you're Barack Obama.
Navy Corpsman, Corpsman Burchard, Corpsman Burchard.
And the concern here among so many leftists is that literally tens of thousands of soldiers, as well as police officers, are bringing their professional expertise to bear on these national and local militia groups. According to an investigative report published in The Atlantic several months back, which tapped into a leaked database from the Oath Keepers, right, which is another national militia organization, The Atlantic found that upwards of 10% of their membership was active duty military personnel. About 2/3 of their membership had a background in the military or law enforcement. For these leftists, the database was actually shocking. They found members who were former Secret Service agents. They found former FBI agents. They found active ICE members, right, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and perhaps most alarmingly, members of special forces like Navy SEALs. The New York Times ran a report around this time last year that found that upwards of 25% of national militia membership is made up of active duty military personnel. But indeed, it may be far more than that. At a fairly recent congressional hearing, so-called experts testifying before Congress admitted that the Defense Department had no reliable data on the actual number of service members or prospective recruits that were also members of Patriot militias. A California Democrat congressman actually came out and openly decried that these patriots are, quote, using our military not just for training, but to give validity to their causes and even recruit our service members into their organizations. We've got to do more to stop these hateful extremists from infiltrating our armed services. So there is a clear sense of panic among leftists that military membership and militia membership are increasingly becoming unidentifiable. The ultra-left Guardian, a British outlet no less, did their own investigative reporting, and they found comparable numbers that the national organization called the Three Percenters also recruited heavily from current and retired military personnel. And that holds true as well for law enforcement. The Washington Post complained that police were refusing to actually control armed militias, largely because law enforcement actually welcomed their assistance in response to BLM protests. Some in the media went further, suggesting that militias and law enforcement were indeed becoming indistinguishable. The ultra-left Guardian ran the rather panicked and sensationalist headline, "White supremacists and militias have infiltrated police." Now, I did a video that you're going to absolutely love. It's actually a mini documentary on the extraordinary alliance that's developed between law enforcement officers and militia members. I'll link it down below for you so you can watch it after this. But we looked there at the interrelationship that was developing between police and patriots, as it were. Here, I want to highlight in this video what's behind this growing trend of active and retired military personnel to identify with and join up with the growing number of patriot militias throughout the nation. And it's something that these left-wing outlets, from the New York Times to Vice, it's something they just simply don't understand. They chalk it all up to racism and white supremacism. For them, that's the real cause of this new alliance between the military and militias, as far as the left is concerned. And this is what the left does all the time. The left seemingly always blames a portion of the population for all that's wrong in the nation, whether it's the deplorables or the Neanderthals, right? Or the anti-vaxxers or the conspiracy theorists or the January 6th insurrectionists or racists and white supremacists or transphobes, whatever it is. It's always, the problem in society is always blamed on a portion of our population that have nothing whatsoever to do with the left. The political cultural left are always exonerated from any wrongdoing or any contribution to society's ills. So this is just predictably boring and tediously useless in terms of analysis. Instead, I think what's really going on here in this increasing partnership, shall we say, this increasing bromance between the military and militias, it's indicative of the dramatic loss in confidence that more and more Americans are experiencing in our law enforcement and modern military structures. A rather shocking poll came out a couple of months back that found that trust in the United States military among Americans has been plummeting over recent years. The number of Americans who have a great deal of trust in our armed forces had dropped from 70% back in 2018, today only 56%. It's dropped almost 15 points in just a couple of years. And comparably speaking, I need not tell you the crisis in credibility that law enforcement's gone through with the whole defund the police insanity and BLM activism. And so what we're seeing here is, in point of fact, a radical rupture in the confidence that people have in modern law enforcement and military structures. And so more and more members of these structures are looking for alternative and indeed more authentic ways of being able to express faithfully their first responder sentiments, their innate love and desire to serve and protect. And so with the increasing implosion in confidence and trust in modern structures, we have to realize that patriot militias become highly attractive alternatives, and they will continue to be so precisely because the defensive and law enforcement structures that have thus far undergirded our society are clearly beginning to crack. And of course, it's not just the military and law enforcement. It's the imploding loss of faith and trust in our politicians and in our government institutions, in our credentialed class, in our medical industry. It's the imploding trust in the mainstream media. It's an increasing distrust in woke corporations and big tech oligarchs. It's the hundreds of, if not millions of parents pulling their kids out of public schools. So we're all looking for alternatives. And patriot militias provide precisely the kind of alternative security needed in the midst of a loss of confidence in modern military and law enforcement structures. So all of this is to say that the growing alliance and partnership, the bromance between the military and militias, isn't going away anytime soon. If anything, that alliance has only just begun. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my documentary on why Patriot militias are surging throughout the nation. You're going to absolutely love it. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.